And good morning and welcome to the WSJM morning video live stream, the morning show for the video live stream, video live stream for the morning show. Good morning and welcome. It's Wednesday, April 2nd. You survived April Fool's Day.
I survived.
Anyone prank you?
No.
Thank goodness. Because you never know when that's going to happen, and it's never fun.
Right.
Until you think about it later. But good morning and welcome. We have our special guest in studio this morning. It's Michelle Heit. She is the New Buffalo Township Supervisor and the recipient of the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber's Pat Moody Award. They gave this to you, was it February?
Yeah.
February. And you were recognized not just by the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber, but by peers who were in the room, more than 600 people in the room. In that moment, they took a look at all the nominees for the Pat Moody Award, and they voted right then and there via smartphone app, and they said, Michelle Heit, you're the person.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
It really was.
That's really cool. Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about how you got nominated for that. We'll talk a little bit more about your role as New Buffalo Township Supervisor. How long have you been in the area, in this region?
Oh, in Berrien County all my life.
Okay.
Yeah. Grew up in Three Oaks. We're actually on property in New Buffalo Township that's been my family for over 170 years. So
wow.
I came back to New Buffalo, and we raised our children there, lived there for over 30 years. So
that's amazing. Born and bred here. What was your family involved in when they got here?
Oh, but back in the
1800s? Goes back as far back as you can tell us.
Farmers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like probably everybody else that came over this way. So
any particular crops?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what they grew back then, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay. So Three Oaks area. That's a beautiful area.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. So we'll talk about some of the things that are happening in New Buffalo Township. There's a whole lot. We were talking about some of the things on Red Arrow Highway. You were at the Berrien County Commission meeting recently to talk about how people are loving that. For people who don't know, what's happening with Red Arrow Highway in the areas like in your community?
So Red Arrow was overdue for basic reconstruction. It was full of potholes. But while they were going to redo Red Arrow Highway, they decided to take most of it to 3 lanes and put in a non-motorized path, which is incredible. And actually, the portion of into Buffalo Township is complete.
Okay.
Goodness, so.
You know, I every time I drive on Red Arrow Highway, it's 2 experiences. The first experience, because I'm going south from St. Joseph, is I'm cursing and hoping that my axles don't break.
Yeah.
And then the second experience is when I get to places like in New Buffalo Township where the road has already gone on a diet. It's smoothed out. There's a pretty trail on the side of the road there. It's just, it's night and day.
It's beautiful.
It's night and day.
And when we first did our first portion of Red Arrow Highway, that's when we redid Union Pier along with Chickming Township. So that was a fun project. That's
a lot of stuff going on. You guys are on the grow.
We've got a lot done and then a lot more to do. So
all right. Well, we'll talk about some of those things in a few minutes, if that's all right. And we'll talk about your Pat Moody Award and anything else that you want to talk about today. We can talk about the weather. It's beautiful outside. No, it's raining to beat the band. If it's not raining where you are, good on you. Do be careful because we do have some severe storms expected to come in this afternoon, sometime between 4 and 11 o'clock this afternoon. Saying good morning to those of you on the video live stream. I see Alex is already out there. Hey, Alex, and others as well. So thank you for joining us. We'll be back. We've got to get some local news after we wrap up ABC News, and then we'll have sports, and then our interview with Michelle Heit. She's New Buffalo Township's Supervisor and the winner of the Pat Moody Award from the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber. That's coming up in just a moment right here on WSJM.
Record for the longest floor speech in recorded Senate history this week, 25 hours and 5 minutes. He was speaking out against President Trump's policies. I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
WSJM News Now. Team coverage from the WSJM Newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
Good morning and welcome back to the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. It is a rainy Wednesday morning. It's the 2nd of April. We've got 38 degrees and some lightning in St. Joseph right now with heavy rain. South Haven is 37 degrees with rain for the next hour. Dowagiac, it's raining. New Buffalo, it's raining. Buchanan, raining and 37 degrees in Benton Harbor, where we've got rainfall and some lightning happening as we speak. We do have a weather forecast for today that does call for exactly this. Cloudy skies, showers, storms, some strong storms this afternoon, a high around 66 degrees today. Windy conditions, south winds blowing up to 40 miles per hour. Tonight's forecast, cloudy. And by the way, the gusts up to 40 miles per hour, that could go much higher if we get some of the severe storms. And that window is probably between 4 and 11 o'clock tonight. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment, so do be aware of that. Tonight's forecast, cloudy skies, a 70% chance of rain and storms, low around 48, south winds 10 to 20 miles per hour with gusts up to 40. And then Thursday's forecast, 20% chance of rain showers early and then partly cloudy, a high around 60 with winds out of the west 10 to 15 miles per hour. Some of the news that we're following today in the WSJM newsroom, another round of severe weather expected to hit this afternoon and into the evening. National Weather Service meteorologist Mark Steinwiedel tells us that the storms are likely to begin around 4 o'clock this afternoon, going to about 11 p.m.
So that late afternoon and evening period is when that severe potential is. We have a lot of strong flow and shear to work with, and it really just depends how unstable and warm that we get. We really will determine how large scale this severe weather potential is, but it is possible in that window.
A number of severe storm weather hazards are possible, including damaging winds, flooding, and isolated tornadoes. Steinwiedel mentions that there's approximately a 10% chance of tornadoes occurring in southwest Michigan with this system.
Make sure you walk through your plan for severe storms, which would be if a storm comes and you're in your home or you're at work or whatever, what's that safe spot in your home, which is usually, at a lowest level, away from windows, those kind of things, but then make sure to review your severe weather and safety plan.
A hazardous weather outlook has been issued for Berrien, Cass, and Van Buren counties. Rainfall amounts are anticipated to be between a half an inch and 3/4 of an inch, with higher totals possible during the thunderstorms. Other news, 27 Michigan school districts are facing cuts to federal funding, including one school in our area. On Monday, the Michigan Department of Education announced that the U.S. Department of Education was canceling an extension to use up to $40 million in ARPA and pandemic relief funds. Berrien Reese Superintendent Eric Hopstock says districts planning to use the money will likely have to find alternatives.
This is no fault of the districts. They have applied for the extensions, were granted the extensions, and now for somebody to say, you know what, we're going to move the timeline up quite a bit, and if you're not done by then the money's not available to you. You're going to have to find the money someplace else, and so it's just the unexpected nature of it that's really going to be problematic.
According to the Michigan Department of Education, Benton Harbor was approved for the reimbursement extension as long as it had spent the money, but now those unspent funds, totaling just over $4.5 million, are expected to disappear.
And so it's going to potentially put financial pressure and pinch cash flows, and they may have to trim other programs to pay off something that they didn't expect.
State officials said yesterday that the U.S. Department of Education will consider requests for extensions on individual projects, and the state office will be working with affected districts to determine whether that option is to be pursued for any outstanding federal funds. National Hospital Watchdog Organization, the Leapfrog Group, has released a new report on maternity care in hospitals around the country and found that many of them too often rely on C-sections for births. That includes Corewell Health Lakeland in St. Joseph. The report says that Corewell is among the lowest scoring hospitals in Michigan in that regard. Leapfrog Director of Healthcare Ratings Katie Stewart tells us the organization has set a target of 23.6% of births among low-risk first-time mothers being done by C-section, knowing some births have to be performed that way. However, it advises avoiding the procedures when possible because they come with risk.
They're a major surgical procedure. They carry risks like infection, blood clots, longer recovery times, and complications in future pregnancies.
C-sections can also have an impact on the baby. With the leapfrog target of 23.6% for C-sections, the group has found Corewell Health Lakeland in St. Joseph is above that at 30.5%, placing it among the state's lowest scoring hospitals. Stewart says many factors can contribute to one hospital using more C-sections than another.
Hospitals where labor and delivery rooms are closer to operating rooms, they tend to have higher C-section rates simply because of convenience of performing a C-section, even when a vaginal delivery might still be feasible. It's certainly influenced by staffing, so we see higher C-sections in hospitals with lower nurse staffing levels.
Stewart says there is a racial disparity as well, with 1 in 5 hospitals showing a significant difference between non-Hispanic black patients and non-Hispanic white patients. Although Corewell in St. Joseph has a relatively high C-section rate among low-risk first-time mothers, Corewell Health Lakeland in Niles has one of the lowest rates in the state at 5.9%. Stewart says hospitals should work to lower the rates, and the culture in a hospital can also contribute to the C-section rate. We have reached out to Corewell for comment. And finally, 3 elected officials in Benton Township could start receiving compensation for not taking the township's health insurance following action Tuesday by the Board of Trustees. At their regular meeting, trustees were told Supervisor Kathy Yates had requested the option of payments in lieu of health, dental, and eye insurance for herself, Clerk Carolyn Phillips, and Treasurer Debbie Boothby. The payments would be about $732 a month. Yates made a similar request last year but was turned down by the board. With a new board now in place, she tried again. Yates told us there are plenty of employers that allow employees to take a payment instead of the insurance.
A few people on this board is so sad that they want to go back to the old way of doing things. Nobody ever had it. Nobody did this. I'm doing things no other supervisor ever did. This township is moving forward, and I'm going to take it there.
Yates, Phillips, and Boothby all recused themselves from the discussion and vote, leaving it up to the other trustees. Linda Scarborough opposed the proposal, saying it amounts to a raise. She told us it could lead to other problems.
It will, in the end, it will cost hundreds of thousands, or could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars in the end, because it opens the door for any employee, whether it's elected official, whether it's a admin one, anybody that's just in the water department, any employee, period.
The other 3 trustees felt otherwise, with Joseph Taylor saying police officers and firefighters have the same option that Yates was asking for. Many of them take that option because they're young enough to get insurance from their parents. The vote was 3-1 to allow the payment in lieu of insurance. Yates told us that this is the modern way of doing business that actually will save the township money. That is a look at some of the stories that we're covering in the WSJM newsroom. We have more. We have sports coming up in just a few moments from the Michigan News Network. Dave Wolf is out today, so we'll get to that. We also have a special guest in studio this hour, none other than Michelle Heit, who is the supervisor for New Buffalo Township and the recipient of the Pat Moody Award from the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you.
We'll start. Maybe if it's all right, we'll start our interview now, and then we'll go to sports. But we'll keep the interview going on the video live stream, which is on YouTube and Facebook right now. If you want to watch the interview and see it uninterrupted, unfiltered, just go to Facebook or YouTube and type in WSJM and watch it there. But first off, welcome and thank you for joining us this morning, Michelle.
Thank you.
Supervisor for New Buffalo Township. Maybe start where we like our guests to start. Tell us who you are. Introduce yourself. Give us your history in Berrien County.
Well, as I said earlier, I've been here all my life, been in Berrien County all my life. We're on property that's been in my family forever, and that's really important to me. Been married to my husband Chuck for over 30 years. Have 3 kids, 4 grandchildren. The grandchildren, that's super fun.
Oh, man.
I was a hairdresser, actually, for 30 years. So this is kind of my retirement job. My father-in-law was retiring and moving to Florida, and he was trustee on our township board. So it left an opening, and I decided, why not jump in and I don't want to say get into politics, but, get involved in the community in a different way.
Yeah.
So I was appointed to fill his spot, and then I decided to run for supervisor. Just kind of wanted a whole different career, and ran for supervisor and won in 2016.
You like public service?
I do.
Yeah?
I do.
What's the most fulfilling part of it?
Oh, probably the the exciting projects. I mean, there's a lot of boring things that we do, but we've done a lot of exciting things as well. Non-motorized paths, parks, water and sewer projects. Some of those things are not as exciting, but it's exciting to me. I like being involved in those things. And
that's outstanding. You mentioned just a moment ago that your husband Chuck. We should probably disclose your husband Chuck is Berrien County Sheriff Chuck Heit.
Yeah.
So did he help you when you ran for office? Did he give you any kind of coaching, any kind of tips, or is it usually the other way around?
No.
Okay.
Well, we help each other.
Okay.
He helped me with my campaign. I helped him with his, but he was very encouraging. He really said he thought I could be supervisor. He's probably the main reason that I did choose to run for supervisor.
Excellent. Outstanding. We're talking with Michelle Heit. She's New Buffalo Township's supervisor and also the recipient of the Pat Moody Award from the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber. We'll talk a little bit more about that. That is coming up right here, right now on the video live stream. First, we're going to get some sports here on the radio and then come back and join that interview in progress. You're listening to the WSJM Morning Show.
The Pistons have one of their biggest games of the season tonight against Oklahoma City.
Okay, back on the video live stream. See, that's not so bad. This is good, right?
Right.
So we're going to go back and forth on the radio and then back on the video live stream. And so right now we're just on the video live stream. But if you would, I'm fascinated by people whose families have been here for generations. So again, for those who are unaware, you've got property. Your family's been in agriculture in the area. I mean, tell us a little bit about that history.
Well, like I said, I'm very proud of that. They came from Germany in 1855. Came to Buffalo, New York, and somehow ended up in New Buffalo. I don't know how. Captain Whitaker that found New Buffalo was from Buffalo, New York, so I don't know where the connection is there. But they came and bought property all down our road in New Buffalo Township and stayed with my family, and we ended up with a piece of it, and that's where we live.
Yeah. So with the place where you live, I mean, would you describe it as farmland?
It is. It is. We don't farm it. We rent it to someone that farms it, but
yeah. It's easier that way.
Yeah, we're not farmers.
No, but do you have good childhood memories?
I do. My grandparents, my great-grandfather was still alive when I was a kid also, and going to the farm and experiencing, chickens and cows and the whole farming, baling hay, and those are good childhood memories for sure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right. Well, I'm going to keep quizzing you about your history, so keep walking us through it. And when you were so you grew up and went to schools in New Buffalo?
I lived in Three Oaks. My parents lived in Three Oaks, but my family property was in New Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Grandparents.
We'll continue this interview in just a moment right here on the WSJM Morning Show. It's going to be back on the radio. Thank you for tuning in. And there is a video live stream audience member who says, "Good morning, Ken. Michelle is the greatest." That from Chuck Heit. So thank you for weighing in on that. We'll be right back on the WSJM Morning Show.
Gusts up to 40 miles an hour. We drop down to 48 tonight and 60 with partly cloudy skies tomorrow. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
Man, oh man, we've got these security cameras. You see the security cameras over there? They're light sensitive. So right now they're kind of in the low light mode where they appear black and white, so we can see all the stuff that's happening in the low light situation. And with the lightning storm that's been coming through, it's just been flashing like crazy behind us. So do be aware that we've got some of those thunderstorms coming through right now. Again, the more severe weather is expected in our area this afternoon. Good morning and welcome again to the WSJM Morning Show for Wednesday, April 2nd. It's 7:18. We've got significant rainfall out there and temperatures in the upper 30s, lower 40s. We do expect, again, from 4 to 11 o'clock this afternoon, starting at 4 o'clock this afternoon, those severe storms, so do be prepared for that. Our guest in studio this morning is Michelle Heit, and she is New Buffalo Township's supervisor and the winner of the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber's Pat Moody Award. Let's continue talking a little bit about your background. So you grew up in Three Oaks.
Yeah.
Lead us on from there.
Okay. Grew up in Three Oaks. Went to River Valley High School. But then when Chuck and I got married, my grandma was the only other family member still alive. She had some of the property still in New Buffalo Township and wanted us to have a piece of it, and what she had left. And my brother has the neighboring property, and that's where we chose to build our house, and that's where we raised our family.
It's still fascinating to me that you have roots long ago in Buffalo, New York, and they found their way to New Buffalo.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
In Michigan, that is.
And what's really cool is when I've looked back through old minutes at New Buffalo Township, I had family members that have served 100 years ago on township boards.
You're kidding.
No.
That's a long legacy.
Yeah.
That's great. So yeah, we talked just a moment ago that you decided at some point you wanted to do kind of a second career, get into public service, and you decided to serve on the New Buffalo Township Board and eventually run for and win trustee. So tell us a little bit about that. What's your role in New Buffalo Township as you see it?
So again, I started as trustee and then ran for supervisor. Been supervisor for 8 years now. As supervisor, I'll be honest, I didn't know exactly what I was getting into. I mean, it's kind of a general term, supervisor, but really my main duty is just creating the budget, managing the budget, but just overseeing projects, which is, there's a lot. I mean, you're talking roads, water and sewer, any kind of construction projects, park projects. There's a lot. You switch gears a lot.
Yeah.
Lot to manage.
Yeah. What are some of the things that have been most interesting to you during your time in the role?
Oh, well, it was right around COVID. We kind of started some big projects. That was probably the most exciting time because we did get to finish things up, shockingly. But we built a new public safety building, which took probably 3 years to get the property and complete that project, and that was really exciting. The Union Pier project, which kind of went along with our Red Arrow redo, a non-motorized path. And I don't know if you've been past Exit 1, but the big monument sign that says "Welcome to New Buffalo," that was fun too. We had some and we acquired a marina. We have a marina.
Wow.
Which we don't have property. It's in the city of New Buffalo. Let's just say that, which is kind of a different situation. But there's been a lot. Those are probably the things I'm most excited about.
Yeah. Have you found what challenges have you found in public service in that capacity?
Probably, like I said, how long everything takes.
Yeah.
There's more. If as a private citizen, if you purchase property and you want to build or clear property and build something, it's much quicker. With government, there's, you buy a piece of property, you have to do environmental studies, and then you can't always take down trees when you want to. There's this Indiana bat, so you can only take trees down in a certain period of time, but the private citizens can. And that's probably been the most shocking to me, how long it takes to do all the things that you're required to do before you build or bond something.
Yeah. For those who have traveled through the New Buffalo area, New Buffalo Township, New Buffalo proper, I mean, you go down on Red Arrow Highway. To me, that seems like one of the biggest improvement projects that area has seen in a long time. I mean, just from someone who passes through, because it is just so nice to go through there.
It is, and that now that will be complete and through for sure Chickaming Township soon by June. We'd love to see that in its own destination. If someplace you're coming and stopping at a brewery, stopping at different shops along the way, or riding your bike. We really want to create that as kind of someplace you're going to, to do something fun and, like I said, ride your bike or visit.
What are the best kept secrets about New Buffalo Township that you want people to know?
Secrets, I would say a lot of people don't realize the Glean River County Park is actually right across from our Township Hall. It's beautiful. I think it's so many visitors.
You've got the big walkout decks there.
Yeah.
You're right. That is one of the best kept secrets because
I think so.
I've driven by there a million times, and until I talked with a parks person, they said, well, we're just doing some repair work at the Glean River Park. And what do you mean repair work? Oh, we've got these things that are like hundreds of feet in the air or whatever they are. But it's an amazing facility.
It's beautiful. And there's a lot of paths as well. So it's a great place to take your family. Yeah, it's beautiful. And at our park at the Township Hall, we have a piece of the Twin Towers. We have a steel piece from the Twin Towers from 9/11.
I do. I have seen that.
People don't realize that either.
Yeah, that's amazing. We're talking with Michelle Heit. She is New Buffalo Township's supervisor and also the winner of the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber Pat Moody Award. The Regional Chamber had their working breakfast in February. And in case you didn't know, what they do there is they have several award categories. And for each award category, there are nominations that come in. People are nominated for these different awards: best new business, best community service, best community, up and coming community, that kind of thing. You also have the Pat Moody Award, which we'll ask you what that means to you in just a moment. But when people are nominated, that's one thing. The breakfast itself, where there are more than 600 people, that's where the actual voting happens. And so nobody knows going into that breakfast who's going to win. Everyone knows who's up for the award. They don't know who's going to win. And so to me, it seems like an extreme honor to be not only nominated, but then confirmed by your peers to win that award. So congratulations on that. Tell us a little bit more about the Pat Moody Award and what it means to you.
Well, like you said, I was shocked to be nominated, first of all. Yeah. And then very honored to receive the award. That wasn't just me. All the things that I mentioned that we've accomplished in Buffalo Township was our entire board. It was not just me. So I'm honored to have been recognized. But it takes a lot of people to accomplish those things. Yeah. Not just myself, but I was truly honored to receive an award named after Pat Moody, such a great man, and made such an impact on our whole county. So
yeah, you're very modest. You want to share the wealth of their.
Well, it's true.
Who nominated you? So
I did find out that Matt Davis from Whiteman nominated me, and we work a lot with Whiteman. I mentioned all these projects. Yeah. We work with our engineers a lot. So that was very honoring, because honestly, he should probably receive the award. There's so many people. You mentioned the 600 people at the breakfast. I look out, and there's so many people that is just as deserving, more deserving, for sure. Yeah,
because you think about it. You mentioned the engineering firm. Really, a township or a town or any municipality, they can decide, here's what we want to do. It's really the engineers that bring you, or at least keep you grounded on earth of what's possible or what it will take to make this happen.
Oh yeah, we're so busy. Like I mentioned, one minute I'm worried about water and sewer, roads, zoning. That they really can keep you on the path. They can keep everything moving forward and organized, and so we rely on them a lot. Yeah.
Any unexpected challenges when you came into the supervisor role? I know you mentioned the duration of what it takes, but one of the things that we've noticed over the last few years, a couple of decades, is public input sometimes isn't always friendly. and it can come fast and furious. Sometimes it isn't fact-based. Sometimes it is. But how do you deal with that, and do you run into much of that?
Yeah. We have public hearings. Some things require public hearings, things like the Union Pier Project and marijuana. We have public hearings, and people don't show up. You try to get the public engaged and see what their thoughts are, how they feel about things, and until things are happening, then they voice their opinion, or like you said, they get on Facebook, they go to the coffee shop and complain. But we really needed to hear it when we were making those decisions, because we really do listen to what the public has to say. So
yeah, that can be. It sounds like it's incredibly frustrating when you hold an open session for people to come and give you their thoughts on something. Nobody shows up.
Yeah, that's what they're there for.
But then they start griping on social media.
Yeah. And it does influence a decision. So there's so many times I really wish I would have heard at the time we were making decisions what people thought.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. So, people basically just have to pay attention, watch, the agendas when they come out, so you know what's being considered. Because as I tell my news team very, very frequently, the news doesn't happen when the vote happens. The news of something happening in a municipality starts long ago, when somebody experiences an issue and they want to see it changed or fixed or some other thing through a municipality. And unless the public is engaged and staying tuned into what's happening and paying attention and voicing their opinion, you're not going to have your voice heard, and it may not go your way.
Yeah, and between Facebook and websites, we can get the information out so much better than we ever could in the past anyway. So if they're not paying attention to the newspaper or Facebook,
Yeah.
You know,
do we have a newspaper here? No, just kidding. Just kidding. We're in radio. We sometimes take jabs at them. But I mean, social media, what role does it play with, when in regards to public service like yours?
Mostly just information.
Yeah.
Because people can be nasty. You don't want to
Really?
put too much out there. But we do.
True.
That is a place where we can advertise things that are, going on.
Yeah.
Events, like we have a public safety day. Actually, we have a big Earth Day challenge that we're going to have.
Give us the detail on that.
So we were getting some complaints about trash, especially, we do have quite a few dispensaries at this time. So there's just more people in the area. This time of year, everything's a little trashier, with all the wind, get in the spring. So we had actually a New Buffalo school student come and complain about the trash. Said, we really, our family gets out and picks up some of the trash. And so we decided maybe we'd have like an Earth Day event. So we've challenged all of our township businesses to spend the day picking up trash, or at least some period of time picking up trash in their property, the road in front of them to clean up the roadway. We'll provide safety vests, and we'll pick up some trash ourselves. And we'll recognize the business that picked up the most trash. They need to send in a picture of their pile of their bags of trash and their crew, and we'll recognize who picked up the most trash at our May meeting, because our April 22nd Earth Day is right after our April meeting.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. I love that. Community
cleanup. Putting our money
cleanup.
where our mouth is.
Beautiful. Can you compete?
No.
Okay.
But I'll pick up some trash.
Okay. All right. All right. And for more information on that, people can go to the New Buffalo Township website and see more on that. So, all right, we're going to continue our conversation. We have to break for news right now. We're going to get the latest financial news from Bloomberg, and then our local, world and national news from ABC, and then our local news from the WSJM newsroom. But we're going to continue this conversation on the video live stream as well with Michelle Heit. She's New Buffalo Township Supervisor. That's coming up in just a moment right here on WSJM. Good morning.
Would you call free checking that pays you cash back on purchases unbelievable? No.
Okay, back on the video live stream. Diane, by the way, good morning to you. Diane's on our video live stream, and she was without power from Sunday till sometime yesterday because of the storms that came through. So let's see. Bill's out there, Diane's out there, a few others. So good morning, and thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. If you miss any part of this video interview, or if you want to share it with friends, feel free to do so. Best place to do that is on either Facebook or YouTube. Just type in WSJM and share it. And it helps with us if you put the little emojis on there. If you like it, give us a thumbs up. If you have issues with it, just give us a question. We can talk about it. All right. It's 7:32. We've got more news coming up in just a moment. You mentioned a couple of times marijuana. You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a big decision, and as I said, we really wanted community input. We had 3 public hearings about that over a year's time.
And what you're talking about, that is really the municipality's decision on whether or not to allow marijuana establishments in the community. And I mean, a lot of communities in Michigan have wrestled with this one way or another. Some were like early adopters. They're like all in, and they started receiving tax revenue benefit from that. Other communities have taken their time, being a little bit more methodical about it. I think you're in that latter category.
Yeah, we took our time. We wanted to see how it shook out in some other communities, and knowing that we were a community right on the border, we're right your entry from, if you're coming from Chicago, and right on the Indiana border. I think we knew it would be really busy and it'd be a sought-after spot. Yeah. But we picked 3 specific areas that were blighted and were in need of some development, some economic development. So that's kind of how we went through that process. But again, people didn't really voice opinions until it was already happening.
I mean, so people afterwards were not happy with the decision?
There's a number that are. There's a lot of people that are happy to see things cleaned up and some activity. Some that don't like all the extra traffic. It's brought a lot of extra people. It's a different kind of tourism.
Yeah.
We have a lot of tourism in New Buffalo.
Yeah.
This is a different form of tourism. Yeah. There's a lot of extra traffic.
Yeah. Anything you would change about the way that the township did that?
I guess we didn't really anticipate them gobbling up every single little space possible. We picked those areas to clean them up, and they have. But right now there's probably a little more than we anticipated, but I think the market will shake that out. You know, in time. So
it does seem, and this is a story we've been looking at as well. Of what is going to happen because there's the onset, there's the huge demand, and then things tend to settle out. And I think right now some of the businesses are finding their footing to understand what is it going to take to stay in business for the long run.
Yeah.
Benton Township, for instance, has just started allowing in dispensaries as well, and they're considering allowing a grow facility, and there's already one in Benton Harbor that does very well. So yeah, it's an interesting industry.
It is. It is. And the people going in those stores look like you and I. I didn't anticipate that. I figured it'd be a lot of young people, but there's all kinds of people that go in there.
And have you spent any time in a grow facility?
No, I have not.
If you do, wear clothes that you can wash and wash and wash again, because I don't know what it is, but there's something about the smell of that just sticks to you.
Yeah.
Because I went and toured one as part of a news story. And it took days for me to stop smelling like marijuana.
Yeah, or I think it gets in your nose.
Maybe that's it.
And the smell doesn't leave for a long time.
Yeah, I was just washing myself, but it's actually just in my nose. No, it's just it's something else. It's fascinating. And like your family, my father was very involved in agriculture, and so I appreciate it from that aspect, because you go and you tour these grow facilities. And they're talking about, are we doing it hydroponics? Or are we doing it in the soil? Are we doing it with, these chemicals? Or are we doing it completely organic? And how are we dispensing that? I mean, it's a science. It's really fascinating to see how the industry from Buchanan to Benton Harbor and in other places in between have embraced this to see how can we make this the most efficient and make it a commercially viable venture.
Yeah, and they're busy. I mean, it brings people to your community, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes this summer as well, because, I don't know, tourists love that kind of stuff. But,
yeah.
Okay. All right, 7:36. We'll be right back in just a couple of minutes. We've got some news to check in with. We've got Bloomberg on the radio right now. We'll get ABC in just a moment. It's the WSJM Morning Show.
12 points. The S&P 500 rose 21. The NASDAQ was up 151 points. And sources tell Bloomberg that President Trump will meet today to consider a proposal for divesting TikTok's U.S. operations from its Chinese parent. The deadline for the sale is this coming Saturday, or TikTok could be banned in the U.S. The administration is said to be considering a deal that would include Oracle and Blackstone and potentially others. Trump has said he would be willing to extend the deadline as necessary. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
7:37 WSJM Morning Show continues. Good morning. I'm Ken Lundberg. Thank you for joining us. Our guest this morning, we're having a great conversation with Michelle Heit. She's New Buffalo's Township Supervisor. We invited her in because we wanted her to brag on herself, to talk about the award she won at the Southwest Michigan and Regional Chamber. You won the Pat Moody Award. And now you're in the Pat Moody Studios.
That's right.
That's pretty cool. Have you said hi to Pat lately?
I saw him that morning.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He's full of himself. No, I love Pat. But no, that was a great award, a wonderful thing to be recognized for by your peers. So again, congratulations on that. We're going to continue talking with Michelle Heit about New Buffalo Township and some of the exciting projects that they have going on there, including a Veterans Park that they're working on right now. So that's coming up in just a couple of moments right here on the WSJM Morning Show. We probably should talk about the weather forecast as I hear more thunder outside. Forecast for today, it's going to be cloudy with a 100% chance of showers and storms, and we're getting that even as we speak right now. So it is showering and storming outside. Some of those strong storms are going to come in this afternoon, if not already. This afternoon between 4 o'clock this afternoon and 11 o'clock tonight. So be aware that those storms could be a little bit more severe. Some people are saying, well, it might be a repeat of Sunday. We're crossing our fingers that it is not. But in case it is, make sure that you know where your flashlight is, your radio is. Make sure your smart devices are charged up in case we lose power again. The high today is supposed to be around 66 degrees. Tonight's forecast, cloudy. That rain is going to continue with the storms. Low around 48 degrees. Winds out of the south. gusting up to 40 miles per hour, stronger in some other areas of those thunderstorms. And then Thursday's forecast, a 20% chance of rain showers tomorrow early in the day, and then that'll taper off and give us just partly cloudy skies with maybe even some sunshine, high around 60 degrees on Thursday. We'll keep some of that same forecast into Friday as well. It's 7:39. Let's get the latest world and national news from ABC, and then we'll check in what's happening in our WSJM newsroom.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The tariffs kick in today. President Trump planning a Rose Garden ceremony to announce which countries and products will be taxed and for how long. ABC Chief Business Correspondent Rebecca Jarvis says the uncertainty has been roiling the markets recently.
While we know these are meant to be sweeping tariffs, they are a big foundation of the president's platform. We don't know the specific details, and those specific details can really determine how much more consumers here in the U.S. might end up paying for goods and services.
Senator Cory Booker speaking for a record 25 hours and 5 minutes against President Trump's policies on the Senate floor. The previous record was set by Senator Strom Thurmond, who was speaking out against civil rights policies. Judge Susan Crawford preserved liberals' narrow majority on the Wisconsin State Supreme Court by defeating conservative Brad Schimmel, Elon Musk, sinking $21 million into the expensive race. This is ABC News.
WSJM News Now. Team coverage from the WSJM Newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
7:40 is the time. It's the WSJM Morning Show for Wednesday, April 2nd. I'm Ken Lundberg. Our special guest in studio this morning is New Buffalo Township Supervisor Michelle Heit. We'll continue that conversation in just a moment. First off, taking a look at some of the news stories that we'll bring you at 8 o'clock. Whirlpool Corporation has announced it's letting go of an estimated 650 workers from its manufacturing facility in Amana, Iowa. That's going to be effective June 1st. We'll tell you a little bit more about that at 8 o'clock, but it's due in part to reduced consumer demand, primarily, they say, in refrigeration units. Other news, a murder suspect out of Kansas City, Missouri, is in custody in Van Buren County following a break-in and a struggle with police. It happened on Saturday. Covert Township Police Chief Jay Allen tells us 2 officers were called into the home around the 45,000 block of Blue Star Highway around 12:45 a.m. on Saturday. On a report of a home invasion in progress, they eventually learned that the suspect said he shot his parents, who were left in a hotel room in Kansas City, and they had been murdered indeed. We'll talk a little bit more about that story at 8 o'clock this morning right here on the WSJM Morning Show. Other news, another round of severe weather. It seems like it might already be here. It is expected to hit this afternoon in earnest. We'll talk more about that and what the National Weather Service has to say as well. It's 7:42. We've got state news from the Michigan News Network. We'll have ABC Sports coming up in just a moment. Tigers picking up another win against the Seattle Mariners yesterday. They beat them 4-1. Today's first pitch, again, this concluding the series between the Tigers and the Mariners, is at 4:10, and you can hear it right here on the WSJM Detroit Tigers radio station. Yeah, so this afternoon, first pitch is at 4:10. You can hear it here on WSJM. We'll have the pregame show about a half hour before that, gets you warmed up for the game. All right, it's 7:42. More coming up next.
The Michigan News Network.
Okay, we're continuing. It's 7:42. Good morning and welcome. We are continuing our conversation with Michelle Heit. She's New Buffalo Township Supervisor. And also, you mentioned earlier, and we fully disclosed that your spouse is Chuck Heit. He's Berrien County's sheriff. He's been a guest of the WSJM Morning Show. What does he say about the morning show?
Oh, he said Ken is awesome.
Oh, come on. Now tell me what he really thinks.
No, that's exactly what he said.
No, that's great. You know, it's great having him as a guest. It's great having him as a news, as someone that we follow in the news as well, just because, you know, we value transparency, and he provides that to us, so we appreciate it. You know, it strikes me that as the spouse of a law enforcement officer, what's that like? Is that as stressful as we're led to believe?
Yeah, I mean, especially when they're working shift work and they're out, you know, at night, and you don't know what kind of calls they're taking. It can be stressful. It probably takes just the right kind of person to be the wife, the spouse, I should say, of a police officer.
What kind of person is that?
Somebody that understands that they could have to leave at any moment for an incident, or that they're probably going to be working overtime, and they're going to work holidays, and you know that not to say that the job comes first, but they have a sense of duty to their community and to helping people, and that comes first, and it should, it should.
Yeah. I didn't tell you we were going to talk about that, so thank you for entertaining the question. No, because we were talking just a second ago in the news about that situation in Covert, where in the middle of the night, a homeowner is all of a sudden the target of a home invasion, and it turns out that the suspect is also believed to have shot his parents several states away. So, as you mentioned, you never know what the next call is going to be.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, any advice for people who are thinking about law enforcement or their spouse or their partner is?
I still think it's a good profession for people. I think that we should see more young people getting into the profession because it's a great way to serve your community. It's there's hard days, but it's very rewarding, at least as far as I can see. I haven't served, but being the spouse of a police officer, it's a rewarding job.
Yeah, I'm sure many spouses would agree with you or would say to you, you are serving as well.
Yeah.
So in a different way.
What I say. Yeah,
in a different way.
You kind of are.
In a different way.
In a different way.
So thank you, and thank you to the sheriff for the public service. And I mean, you serve publicly as well, being the supervisor of New Buffalo Township. So you mentioned that you've got the Veterans Park coming up. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But give us kind of the origin story of how a project like that comes about.
Well, like in many cases, you're trying to either purchase property or get the property prepared. In this case, with the Veterans Park, it's property that we acquired that was the old state police post in New Buffalo.
Okay.
So it's just kind of sitting there. It's right on the intersection of US 12 and Red Arrow Highway. It would be a nice addition to that area that gets so much traffic. So the state police post is torn down, and we'll prepare for a nice Veterans Park to honor our local veterans, and hopefully have a ribbon cutting on Veterans Day. Hopefully, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, but it's all designed, and most things are, we just need to bid it out, and yeah.
Yeah. How are you, in that area where Red Arrow Highway and US 12, where it meets? You're right. There's a ton of traffic there, and having a park there would be really cool. As you think about the region and you think about the evolution of Southwest Michigan and Berrien County and seeing some of the population things and seeing some of the economic trends, what are you thinking? How are you feeling about the economy? How are you feeling about the role of municipalities as you go forward and think about, okay, we know what we're doing this year, we know what we're doing in the next 5 years, but as we think further on, through either master plans or just having brainstorm sessions, what should people be thinking about this region generally?
Oh, that's a good question. I think we struggle mostly with, and probably many other communities in Berrien County, that there's a big burden on our taxpayers. We have so many tourists, we have so many people using our roads, our infrastructure, water and sewer, but they don't really contribute. Mm-hmm. I mean, the taxpayers are really bearing the burden of maintaining parks and everything, and that's something that I think will get to be more and more of a challenge. So that's where I see the future, is finding a way to the people that are coming here and using our, going to Silver Beach, these nice, parks and things, but how do we get them to contribute in some way?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. Some of the options on the table, anything that you've been thinking about in particular?
Well, I mean, so many big cities have these taxes, hotel taxes. And I mean, I'm not a let's tax everybody kind of person, but it is a way to tax the people that are using those, using our amenities. But our taxpayers are people like you and I. We can't keep taxing those people to pay for the things that everybody wants to come here and use. Yeah, yeah. And I would be interested in a study on what mechanisms like a hotel tax, what it has done to tourism, if it has quelled it at all. Because, I mean, I got to tell you, to be honest,
The last thing I check when I'm going somewhere is whether or not they have a hotel tax. When I see it, I get angry.
Yeah.
But then that passes, and I go on to my next thing. Yeah.
You think, oh, that's not a big deal.
Yeah,
But that adds up.
It
adds up.
It does add up. But you're right. I mean, if there are ways to recoup, to make sure that you can have the amenities that are drawing people to these, so they're not just used up in a one time and then gone because the taxpayers can't support it, the tax base, and that's important. Maybe we'll talk about housing in just a moment if you want. Sure. Okay, we'll hit that in. We'll get on the Veterans Park. We'll wrap that one up as well. But it is the WSJM Morning Show. Thanks for tuning into the video live stream. We're about 11 minutes away from 8 o'clock. We've got more news coming up, but right now it's going to be our Moody on the Market update in just a moment.
Well, they'll be in waves through the course of today. Basically, 3 waves. We'll see some this morning, and then middle part of the day, and then a chance for some stronger storms this evening. 66 will be our high today. It will be windy, even outside of those storms, with some of the wind gusts up to 40 miles an hour. We drop down to 48 tonight and 60 with partly cloudy skies tomorrow. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
7:50, it's the WSJM Morning Show. Good morning, I'm Ken Lundberg. We've got about 10 minutes and before ABC National and World News. Then we'll have the latest local news from our WSJM newsroom, sports, and more. But right now, it's time for our Moody on the Market update. And your Moody on the Market update is brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today, your local auto owner's insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. And our special guest in studio this morning is Michelle Heit. And she is, oh, dear Lord, she is we just had a huge lightning strike outside the window, enough so that it was making a staticky noise on the blinds. So sorry about that. I think we're safe in here, Michelle. Michelle Heit is the New Buffalo Township Supervisor. She's also the winner of the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber's Pat Moody Award. And because this is the Moody on the Market update, I thought it fitting that we talk with you about you winning that award. So again, congratulations for that. What are you going to do next? How are you going to top this? Getting the Pat Moody Award.
Keep doing my job.
Pat Moody. No, and your job is as a New Buffalo Township Supervisor. So you deal with business, and that's what we report about in the Moody on the Market. It's business updates, life in Southwest Michigan, and why we love it here, and interesting people you should know. I think you hit all three buckets. So thank you for that. A couple of things that we wanted to hit on for New Buffalo Township. Housing. That's a huge topic among a lot of the municipalities here is, what do we do about housing? How do we make sure that there's affordable housing for the workforce here? How do we make sure that there's enough housing for the demand that we have? How is it going in New Buffalo Township?
Well, property is very expensive in New Buffalo Township.
Yeah.
Areas that haven't developed are mostly wet. You know, our township, quite a bit of it tends to be
Wetlands,
wet,
yeah.
or it doesn't have water and sewer, doesn't have the infrastructure. So there's those challenges, either too expensive or just it's not as easy to develop. There's other areas that I'd love to see. The main thing is just the water and sewer, I think. Areas like Galeen, Three Oaks, there's areas that could probably support some housing that would help all of the rest of the communities, especially, down in our area, moving it kind of out that way, but they don't have the infrastructure either. But, if the state or the federal government wants to, give some money, to help
federal
us
government's
out
of that business for now. But I mean, it does seem to be a rising concern, especially when you think about workforce, because there are a lot of areas that in and out of Michigan where you have the urban areas that are the draw for a lot of people, but the people who work there in the service industry primarily can't afford to live there. Mm-hmm. And so seeing that, so when you and other community leaders get together and talk about this, I mean, what's the feeling? Are people looking actively for those options?
Oh, absolutely. But again, I think more of the lakefront communities know that it would probably be inland a little bit,
yes.
But maybe not in our community specifically, but would benefit us as well. I mean, we really need younger people. We have a lot of people that retire out here. If it's starting to feel more and more like New Buffalo Township, certainly everybody's 55 and up, I think. There's just there's not, as many younger people, and they just can't afford to live there. I wish we even had some apartments or, just other options. And I think that's maybe the struggle is the people that do live here are kind of that NIMBY attitude. You know, we don't want apartments. We don't want, duplexes. We don't want, these, for whatever reason, they don't like those. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But, it was zoning changes and things. I think we just need to encourage some more of those other options, other housing options. But
yeah, ongoing concern. And then lastly, I wanted to ask you about this Veterans Park. You mentioned that this is happening, and all green lights, all go. This is at the intersection of US 12 and Red Arrow Highway. You want to describe it again?
It's a go.
Okay.
We'll go out to bid soon. But however, there is a weird platted piece of US 12 that goes through it. So we're working with the state. And actually, we reached out to Joey Andrews' office to kind of help us move that along a little quicker. With them to kind of release that little easement they have through there. So as soon as that's done, which should be very soon, we'll be going out to bid probably anyway before that.
And so describe the park for people.
The park will have monuments kind of honoring the branches of service, flags from all the branches. There'll be an eternal flame.
Nice.
Artwork around that is still up in the air a little bit. We've got some ideas. The battlefield cross, kind of reflection kind of area, like with benches and things, and landscaping, and just a nice place to go and just remember, those that have served. And we'll have a area where you can purchase a brick and have the brick with your name,
your
or,
message,
whoever you want. So that'll be a lot of veterans parks have done that sort of thing. So we'll
very nice
incorporate that as well.
Do you have a expected time when it's going to be complete?
Well, we're shooting for
knock on wood
on Veterans Day.
Okay,
and hopefully that works out.
Veterans Day 2025.
Yep.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. Okay, we're going to take a break for a couple of messages, and then we'll come right back and conclude this interview. We're talking with Michelle Heit. She's New Buffalo Township's supervisor. You're listening to the thunder-ridden WSJM morning show. I don't know if you can hear it, but the lightning is really severe out there in Benton Harbor right now, and probably in a lot of other areas. So stay tuned and stay safe. We'll have more in just a moment right here on WSJM.
We're watching over you.
That was close.
It was.
Goodness gracious. Thanks again for coming out in this. All right. We've got a couple more messages to get to. Anything else? What do you want people to know about New Buffalo Township?
Well, one thing is the Market Greenway.
Let's talk about that.
Earlier, Market Greenway is a non-motorized path that will connect New Buffalo to Chicago. Most of it's already complete, all from Chicago out to New Buffalo. A portion of we've got a portion of it in New Buffalo Township, and it's in 2 phases. The second phase will be in 2026 completed. That goes to Indiana, but there's a big ribbon cutting for the portion that we have completed on April 25th.
That's coming up later this month.
Yeah, so that's
nice.
exciting. That's really exciting.
So,
we'll have some sort of ribbon cutting for the linear park that goes along Red Arrow Highway soon, too.
Okay. It's nice to have those trails. Those amenities, I think, really help bring people not only for tourism into the area, but if they think about living here as an option, having those trails, that's encouraging.
Especially kids. There's not a lot of safe places to take your kids to ride a bike, unless you live in a small neighborhood.
Yeah.
We live out in the country, so there's never a great place to take our kids just to ride a bike. So now you can go out as a family.
Yeah. No, that's super good. Anything else? New Buffalo Township?
Disc golf course. Where we have a park along the Glean River, Glassman Park. It has an ADA kayak launch, but now we're put in a disc golf course.
Okay.
So most of it's done, but there's some other amenities that are going along with it that will hopefully be done this summer as well. So.
Have you ever played disc golf?
No.
Me either.
But now I think
it looks like
I'll
fun.
try it.
It looks like fun, but it looks quite challenging.
Yeah. I would need to watch. I need to watch somebody first.
All right. We'll come back in just a moment on the WSJM Morning Show. I'm making sure we're timing this out correctly. So I'm going to have to move that. And that will go over there. Okay. All right. We'll come back and wrap up this interview right here on the WSJM Morning Show.
Time to quench your favorite locally sourced cravings. Come on in. Just watch out for the wet paint signs. We promise it's not a new abstract art installation. For the latest updates, visit masonjarmenu.com. Thanks for your patience and sense of humor. They can't wait to unveil their fresh new look for you at the Mason Jar Cafe.
Getting multiple estimates to replace your furnace can feel overwhelming when you're not sure who to trust.
Should I care if they're licensed, experienced, and insured?
Yes, you should. Call the experts and feel at ease with McGee's. They know the rules and they don't cut corners. Trust the people that care who know how to do it right the first time. All you need to do is work with McGee's once to see the difference, and they'll be the first call every time. Feel at ease with McGee's. Call today for your estimate.
Feel at ease with McGee's.
From the Pat Moody Studios, this is WSJM-FM Benton Harbor, St. Joseph, a product of Midwest Family Marketing and Media. Proudly serving our community. The Morning Show with Ken Lundberg on WSJM.
7:59, we're right in front of 8 o'clock. Want to say thank you so much to Michelle Heit, new Buffalo Township Supervisor, for coming in this morning. You braved the storms to come into the studios. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing the information about yourself, about your Pat Moody Award that you won from the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber, and for sharing information about New Buffalo Township.
Yeah, well, it's always exciting to talk about the township, and thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely, anytime. All right, well, good morning. If you missed any of this, go back and check it out. It's archived on Facebook. It's 8 o'clock.
ABC News. I'm Sherry Preston. President Trump is set to launch a barrage of tariffs, which